This one here is a pretty long one. It used to be probably about 18 feet. It's probably about 17 feet by now. And, when you shoot at a fish in the water, you end up peening out the ends, and then eventually it becomes too mushroom to use. So you have to cut it back and move everything down a little bit. And then you have to make your rope adjustments and stuff. I like to keep mine, semi-tight like this. A lot of people will have the ropes kind of hanging, and some people even have their ropes tied off back here, and then they have a longer piece hanging. But it makes it harder to manage the fish when you have it further away. You still have to have enough of this, for the fish to kind of hang on. But in my opinion, you have to have this as close to this as possible, make it better. Now, they take great care to make the willow poles because they're smaller, but they use fire. They use a lot of heat. They temper it. They temper the willows. You got to get a pretty big size willow, and then you whittle it down to what you want, and then you if it's got any bends or if it's not completely straight, you can straighten it out with fire.
On the other end, I noticed there's a long rope.
It's kind of like a lanyard.
Yeah.
If you happen to lose your pole, you have that wrapped around your arm, and then if you happen to lose your pole, then you still got a hold of it.
So,
Yeah, I've kind of become particular in my old days. I used to use a lot of wire, but I've started to wrap everything up with my rope. As you can see, it's all wrapped up. A lot of people would just tie it and then put tie wire over it, and then they'll cover it with duct tape. You see a lot of poles with duct tape. This is a regular, I think they call it a gaff hook.
Mm-hmm.
When you buy them from the store, they have a big ring on the end of them,
Mm-hmm.
an eye ring.
Yeah.
And then so you have to cut the eye ring off and shape it to look like this.
So those aren't manufactured in that fashion. You have to.
No, they have probably a little bit longer. They're probably about this long, and they have an eye ring, an eyelid on it. They're made that way, so you have to cut the eyelid off and shape it the way you want it. Some people have different ideology on it.
You kind of flatten that end a little bit, so it
Yeah,
slides
so
in.
you can stick it underneath that wire. And the more experience you have with this, the more you end up, getting more creative. People use different things, to tie the rope onto the hook. I use another fish line, a non-coated braided fish line, and I use that. It takes a long time. You have to wrap each individual loop and go all the way down.
Oh, I see.
Makes for an interesting design.
Oh,
It takes a long time. It takes about a couple of hours to do a set of.
Yeah.
It might take you a whole hour to braid this.
Huh.
Because you have to wrap each loop around and tighten it. People use a variety of different things. They use different kind of mechanisms up here. I just use a simple wire. It's easier. You can tighten it. If it messes up, you just get another piece of tie wire and put another one on. Some people use hose clamps and different kinds of things.
Like water pump.
Yeah, they'll put the hose clamp over here, and same idea. Some people even put some kind of a piece of metal over this, so that when they do hit the rocks, it doesn't peen out. On them, you got to be real quick, because you flush out a fish, and then you got to either run after it or be able to spear it real quick, because they're wiggling, they move pretty fast, and so you got the type of pull you have, makes a difference in success or not.
Yeah.
Well, like these poles are designed for bigger water like this, and I'm strong enough where I could carry it for a long time. But when I was younger, I could probably carry one like this all day long, and it wouldn't hurt me. Nowadays, I have to be careful because it's kind of heavy. It gets heavy after a while,
Yeah.
So A willow pole would be better, but they take a lot more work. You got to know how you know what you're doing. There's people that kind of specialize in making willow poles, because they use a combination of fire and the heat, and then they straighten them out. Then they know about how much heat to apply to make it just right, because you can make them too brittle, and if you happen to hit a rock or something, they might shatter. Yeah. The tail, where the fin comes out and the backbone. If you can grab it just right there in that spot, you can paralyze the fish. It actually paralyzes them, and you can handle them a lot easier. They don't wiggle and squirm like they normally do and flip around. It has some kind of a nerve. If you grab them right there and you squeeze just right, it kind of kills them. I mean, it just paralyzes them. And that's what he did. He was able to do that, and he pulled it out, and it was a pretty big fish. He pulled it out with his hands.